Hello everyone, welcome to Prevent a Solution given this beautiful equation which is x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 5 multiplied by x plus 7 multiplied by x plus 9. This is equal to 9. So how many values of x do we have? I know many of us, we only know to solve this problem, many of us can solve only using expansion method. Now solution, if you expand this equation, we expect to have x to the power 4 plus 24x cubed plus 206x squared plus 744x plus 945. This is equal to 9. Okay, so this means this is a polynomial of degree 4. So we expect to have 4 solutions. Let's find out if this is true. Okay, so we have a simpler method we can use. We have a simpler method that you can use. Now, if you check these numerical values, we have 3, 5, 7, and 9. So let's first of all get the average of this. So we'll have 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9, and this is equal to 24. Okay, so the average of this is basically equal to 6. Now, let's introduce a variable y. Okay, and this variable y, we can express it in terms of x as x plus 6. So, given that we have x plus 3, we can express this in terms of variable y, okay, as y subtract 3, so that we'll have x plus 6 subtract 3. So we subtract 3 on both sides, so that x plus 3 on both sides, so that x plus 3 in terms of variable y, this is the same thing as y subtract 3. Let's call this equation 1. Again, now we have x plus 5. Okay, so in terms of variable y, this can be expressed as, this is the same thing as y subtract 1. Okay, this is equal to x plus 6 subtract 1. So this means that y minus 1 is the same thing as x plus, now 6 minus 1, this is 5. So that means that x plus 5, that means that x plus 5, this is the same thing as y minus 1. Let's call this equation 2. Okay, we have also x plus 7. In terms of variable y, this can be expressed as y plus 1. Okay, so we had 1 on both sides, so that we'll have x plus 6 plus 1. So that means that y plus 1, this is the same thing as x plus 7. Let's call this equation 3. Now we have also x plus 9. This can be expressed in terms of variable y as y plus 3. This is simply because we have x plus 6, so we add 3 on both sides. So that means that x plus 9, this is the same thing as y plus 3. And let's call this one equation 4. So now we can form an equation here. That is, now since we have x plus 3 in terms of variable y, this is y minus 3, which is equation 1. X plus 5 in terms of variable, this is y minus 1, equation 2. X plus 7, y plus 1. X plus 9, y plus 3. Now that means x plus 3, this is the same thing as y minus 3, multiplied by x plus 5, which is the same thing as y minus 1. X plus 7, this is the same thing as y plus 1. And x plus 9, this is the same thing as y plus 3. This is equal to 9. So if you check here, this is actually an interesting equation, because if you check y minus 3, we have y plus 3. Okay, we have y minus 3, y plus 3. Okay, so this is actually in the form of a plus b, a minus b, which is actually the difference of two squares, expressed as a squared minus b squared. So now applying this property, we'll have y squared, okay, subtract 3 squared. If you check here, we have y plus 1 and y minus 1. So this is the same thing. We can apply the difference of two squares, so that you will have y squared subtract 1 squared. This is equal to 9. Okay, so this is now the equation. We can be able to proceed as, we have y squared minus 3 squared, which is actually y squared minus 9. We have y squared subtract 1, this is equal to 9. Now, you can see here, we can proceed to get also the average. The average again, we have 9 plus 1. We'll have 9 plus 1 divided by 2. So this is 10 divided by 2, so that this is equal to 5. Okay? So now introduce another variable. Introduce another variable so that y squared, this can be expressed as m plus 5. So introduce a variable m. So it's the same thing as m plus 5. Okay? So y squared subtract 9. This is the same thing as m plus 5. Okay? Subtract 9. So that y squared subtract 9. This is the same thing as m subtract 4. And then y squared subtract 1. This is the same thing as m plus 5 subtract 1. So y squared subtract 1, this is the same thing as m plus 4. So it's interesting that y squared subtract 9, this is the same thing as m minus 4. And y squared subtract 1, this is the same thing as m plus 4. Okay? So we have m minus 4, m plus 4, this is equal to 9. Okay? So actually, if you check this again, this is actually the difference of two squares. That is a plus b, a minus b, which you can express as a squared minus b squared. Let's apply this. So you'll have m squared subtract, this is negative 4 times 4, which is negative 16. This is equal to 9. So that means that m squared, this is equal to 25. Okay? So this is 9 plus 16, which is 25. So m is equal to plus or minus the square root of 25. So m is basically plus or minus 5. Okay? So let's solve the value of y. Let's solve the value of y. Now we have m is equal to plus or minus 5. So let's get the corresponding values of y. If you recall, we end at y squared. This is the same thing as m plus 5. Let's substitute the values of m. Remember here you have m1 as 5 and m2 as negative 5. Okay, so substituting m1, you will have y squared. This is the same thing as 5 plus 5. Okay, and this is basically equal to 10. Okay, so to get the value of y, we get the square root of both sides. Okay, get the square root on both sides so that y is equal to plus or minus square root of 10. So in this case, we have that y1, this is equal to square root of positive square root of 10, and y2, this is negative square root of 10. These are the first values of y. Let's get the other value of y. We have that y squared, this is m plus 5. Now if you check here, y squared, this is negative 5 plus 5, which is equal to 0. So that means that y3, this is y3 squared, this is equal to 0. Okay, and now the square root of 0 is the same thing as 0. So here we have three values of y. y1 is equal to positive square root of 10. y2, this is equal to negative square root of 10. And y3, this is equal to 0. Now, remember, if you recall again, our motive is to get the value of x. If you recall, we said that let y be equal to x plus 6. Okay? If you recall, we said that let y be equal to x plus 6. Okay? So in that case, we have that substituting y1, we'll have, this is the same thing as x is equal to 6 subtract square root of 10. So this is the first value of x. Now, if you check y2, you'll have the value of x as, that is 6, okay? That is 6. We have y1 is equal to square root of 10, y2 is equal to negative square root of 10, and y3 is equal to 0. So the question is, what are the values of x? Now, if you recall, we said that let y be equal to x plus 6. Okay? So from this part, you find that you can express x as y subtract 6. Okay? So that means that from y1 is actually positive square root of 10. This means that x is equal to, this is square root of 10 subtract 6. Okay? Or rather, we can write this as x1 is equal to negative 6 plus square root of 10. So this is the first value of x. Now we have that y2 is equal to negative square root of 10. So that means that x2, this is equal to, this is basically negative 6, okay, subtract square root of 10. And x3, if you substitute y3, this is basically equal to 0. So here we have three solutions. That is x1, which is equal to negative 6 plus square root of 10, x2, which is negative 6, subtract square root of 10, and x3, this is equal to 0. So we have three solutions, as opposed to if you use the expansion method, that means that you're supposed to get 4 solutions, but now we have 3 solutions. So let me know in the comment section what is your solution for this problem. So thank you for watching. Kindly follow the steps, like this video, and subscribe. Bye bye.